In the last video, we have discussed about some of the strategies that are available in case of script component in Next.js. And these strategies are before interactive, after interactive, lazy onload, and worker strategy. If you did not watch that last video, it's okay, you do not have to do that. This video will just fine. In this video, we'll talk about the implementation details of these four strategies. However, if you want a little bit more detailed explanation, then you can still watch that first video. Now, out of all these four strategy, worker strategy is something that does not work with app router. So what we are going to be doing is, I will demonstrate these three strategy, which is before interactive, after interactive, lazy onload in app router. But in case of worker strategy, I'll be switching to a different project that uses pages router to demonstrate this. Now you may ask, why just not use pages directory for all of the four strategies? And the reason for that is, if you are working on the latest version of Next.js, most probably you are using app router because that is the recommended way of building Next.js applications now. So this way we'll see both pages router and app router, like what are the differences between these two and how you can implement and see at least in both of the scenarios. Now before we start writing some code, we need to decide which script do we want to import using these strategy. So we have this canvas confetti module that you can use to show beautiful confetti in your pages. What I'm gonna be doing is, I'm gonna be using this script to import canvas confetti package. Before we do that, let's try setting up a new project that uses app router. So I'll go to desktop. I'll now use create next app. I will open this folder inside of the code editor. I'll open the terminal and I'll start the development server. Okay, so we can see that our development server has been started and this is our application. So inside of this layout.tsx file, we are gonna be importing that script of canvas confetti. So I'll copy the script, put the script right inside of body tag. I'll import script from next script. I'll then replace these script HTML tags with a script component provided by Next.js. Now, if you do not pass a strategy prop to this script component, by default, it uses after interactive strategy. So let's not do that. Let's provide a prop called strategy and we'll start with before interactive. We'll come to web browser. We'll refresh the page. We'll open the console. And now, if the script has been loaded, we should be able to access a variable in the global window object, which is confetti. You can see there exists a function with the name confetti. That means we should be able to access this code that will show a confetti at the middle of the page. You see that? One quick aside, you should know that if you're using app router and you're using before interactive strategy, you cannot keep this script below or above the body tag, because if you try to do that, you will get an hydration error. Let me show that again. We'll refresh the page. We can see that we are getting an hydration error. Hydration failed because of the initial UI does not match what was rendered on the server. So in order to get around this problem, what you can do, you can either place this script inside of your body tag. This way it is going to be working, right? Do not worry about this error. This has nothing to do with what we are doing right now. Or you can move this script inside of an head tag. Remember, this is not the head component provided by Next.js. This is the normal simple HTML tag. So these are two options to prevent the hydration issue. So at this point, we know that the script has been imported correctly. Let's change the strategy to use after interactive strategy. Let's check if the variable confetti is still available to us. Okay, looks like it is still available. But then what is the difference? What is the difference between before interactive and after interactive strategy? I would say there are two differences. Whenever you use before interactive strategy, no matter where you place the script, Next.js will always inject that script inside of head tag only. So if I just show you, this is the script that has been injected to the head tag. But if you look at the code, we have basically included this script inside of our body tag, right? But if we change the strategy to after interactive, it is going to be placed in the body only. Let me refresh the page again. Come to the body and we can see that this is the canvas confetti script right inside of the body. Okay, so that is one difference between after interactive and before interactive. Now the second difference is that if you're using before interactive strategy, this script is going to be loaded before any hydration occurs. Hydration is simply the process of making a page that was rendered on the server side interactive on the client side. That means we should be able to do something like this. I can convert this whole component to a client component because I want to use effect, and then I can import use effect from React, and then in here I can simply run an use effect that will call the confetti function which we have present over here. So I'll simply copy this, come over here, paste that, save it, come to the page and refresh this one. Also, so we are also getting this error that you are attempting to export metadata from a component marked with use client. You cannot do that. So let's also get rid of that for now. I'm going to save that. And now if you see, if I just refresh the page, you will see that we are actually seeing the confetti at the middle of the page. Reason why this is working, because before any Next.js code executes, that script is already available, right? So that is why we can call that function. The error you're seeing over here is related to TypeScript. TypeScript is essentially telling us that you are using something like confetti, which is not present in the scope. But we know that this is going to be present in the scope. So we can simply tell TypeScript to ignore this thing for now. Or you can extend the window object also. That is also fine. But if we use after interactive strategy, this script will be loaded after hydration or probably at the middle of the hydration. So there is a high chance that when we are executing this code, the confetti is not available to us. Let's see that in action. So if I just save the page, come over here and refresh the page, you'll see that we are getting a reference error, confetti is not defined. And you'll get the same error if you use lazyOnload strategy. So when you use after interactive strategy, the script is loaded after hydration or during the middle of the hydration. And if you're using lazyOnload strategy, the script gets loaded way later, like when there is no network request are happening. Okay, so at this point we have this understanding of before interactive strategy, after interactive strategy, and lazyOnload strategy. Let's now switch to a different project that uses pages router to see how we can implement worker strategy. Okay, I will quickly scaffold a new Next.js project that uses pages router. Okay, so now I have quickly scaffolded a new Next.js project that uses pages router. If you are not familiar with pages router, let's talk about the project structure a bit. So this underscore document.tsx file is equivalent to layout.tsx file, which we had in the app router. And this index.tsx file is equivalent to page.tsx file in the app router. Okay, all right. That means we need to import our script inside of this document. Again, what I'll do, I'll simply import script component from next script. Again, the reason we are trying to import our script inside of the underscore document file, which is equivalent to layout.tsx file if you're using app router, because we want the script to be available in all of the pages. If you do not want to do that, you can simply import that in a separate component, in whatever component you want. Okay, so we have now imported the script component. We'll again take the script and I'll place the script inside of the body tag. I'll again replace these script tags with the script component provided by Next.js. And now I'll choose a strategy called worker this time. Now this is not enough to make this script work, load with the worker strategy. There are essentially two things we need to do. First thing we need to do is that we need to install the partytown package that is responsible for handling the loading of this script to a different thread. And the second thing is that we need to enable this experimental strategy inside of our configuration file, Next.js configuration file. So let's try doing that one by one. So let's copy this experimental flag and open our next configuration file and paste it right over here. And then we'll install this builder.io party down package. I'll copy this, install this as dev dependency. And now we should be good to go. Okay. So if I just come here, refresh the page, and if I try to access the confetti, so now we are getting this error that confetti is not defined. But if we look at the network tab, we can see that there is this confetti.browser.min.js. That means we are actually loading the script. We are fetching the script, but it is not available in the window object. Why is that? And the reason for that is because when you're using worker strategy, your code is now being executed in a different thread. It is not part of the main thread. So what is happening here is that this confetti script is now being executed in the web worker thread, and web worker thread does not have access to window object. So let me really show you if this is actually working or not. What I will do is I will come to public folder, create a new file, maybe test script. In this file, I have basically created this immediately invoked function expression that is going to log the value from 1 to 10 in the console in an interval of 1 second, right? And let's try importing this script using worker strategy. So I'll come here, below this script, I'll say script, and I'll simply do that, pass the source to it, and I'll choose strategy as worker strategy. So when we do that and refresh the page, I think we need to rename this to JS. Then we can do test script.js, and we can see that we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means our script is now being executed, and we can see that in the console. Now at this point, one thing to keep in mind is that the communication between web worker thread and main thread is possible. I won't be talking about that in this video. If you want me to discuss about that also, you can say that in the comment box, and I'll try to make a video on that. But the communication is still possible. Again, like I've said in the previous video, if you try to do UI related operations in a worker thread, that is not going to be good in terms of performance. So that is why worker strategy is not a good strategy for all of the scenarios. It has its trade-offs. If you want to know the trade-offs, you can watch the first video that I have created. Okay, so that was all about different types of strategies and how we can use them to import different kind of scripts in our Next.js application. Let's also talk about how you can use inline scripts in Next.js. So since now I'm using pages router, I cannot directly include inline scripts here. I can do that in _app.tsx file. So I basically imported the script component, and this is how you do it. Inside of the curly braces, you pass a string that has all the JavaScript code. And another thing that you do is to pass an ID. If you're using inline scripts, this is necessary because it helps Next.js to optimize these inline scripts. So if I just come here and refresh the page, you'll see that this is an inline script. So that is how you do it. And that's all for this video. I'll catch you in the next one.